We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Tuesday, July 2nd here in Seoul. I'm Song Jin, and this is News Generation. Today, we're joined by Cheska Dainhong.
Happy July and happy
July,
Tuesday.
And happy Tuesday. And Brooke Prince.
Hello, great to be here.
Great to have you. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. Now, as usual, we're going to start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online over the past 24 hours. Korean actor Cha In-pyo's novel, Once We Looked at the Same Star, has been selected as required reading for students at the UK's Oxford University. This means his book, which addresses Korea's wartime forced sexual slavery under Japanese colonial rule, will be used as part of the Korean Studies course and will be available in all Oxford libraries. Now, staying in the UK, the British royal family's Scottish holiday home, Balmoral Castle, where Queen Elizabeth II passed away, opened its doors to the public for the first time in 170 years on Monday. Before, visitors could only access the castle's ballroom and grounds. Tickets for the guided tours were priced at £100, approximately $126 or £150, about $190 with afternoon tea. They sold out within 24 hours. 40 people are allowed to enter each day from July 1st to August 4th. Finally, moving on, what used to be a booming snack now seems to be on the decline. Data from the Interior Ministry on Sunday showed that 43 tanghulu shops selling the sugar-coated fruit skewers in Korea closed down in June, while more than 1,300 new stores opened last year. Only 50 have launched this year. On the other hand, while 72 shops stopped business in 2023, the figure stands already at 190 this year so far. Store owners say this is due to the rapidly changing dessert market and the rising prices of fruit and sugar. Now, tanghulu was once a phenomenally popular dessert, especially last year, so this is quite a dramatic fall and a dramatic change we're seeing in the Korean dessert market. So starting off with you, Brooke, did you see this decline of tanghulu coming?
Well, I have to confess something. I've never actually tried this dessert before.
Really?
And that's because I'm into more rich desserts, you know, cakes, brownies, chocolatey type things. If I have fruit with a dessert, it's usually like a cheesecake with strawberry drizzle on top. It doesn't really count. But I have to say, I'm surprised that these are kind of declining in popularity because I think Koreans really love fruit, and even the traditional desserts like bingsu, I've seen a lot of fresh fruit be added to that. So I thought that this craze would continue. I see them everywhere because I think that fruit is very popular here. It's also, like you said, getting much more expensive, so that does explain it. But it is sad to see this snack kind of going out of style and businesses not doing so well.
But I think that we've noticed a lot of businesses, especially those in the dessert and snack sector here in Korea, fastly changing. For example, we saw the maratang, which is a spicy soup, booming here in the country. It's
Everybody
still popular.
was talking about it for a while.
It's still popular nowadays, but as you mentioned, everyone was talking about it in the past, but now it seems that that's not really it these days. So do you also think that Korea is showing this fast changing dessert or snack or food culture in general?
I absolutely agree, and I'm so glad that Brooke kind of opened the door for me to gently follow her steps, because I've never tried tanghulu either.
Really?
Yeah. But
That's interesting.
my reasoning is slightly different from hers, although I'm a dessert person very much. But I kind of, as you mentioned, Yuzin, I see this like trend in terms of like dessert and food, sort of this hype circulating around a certain item, especially here in Korea. So even when Mara was popular, I kind of wanted to be that one person who didn't take
try
it.
it.
I was
Too
like,
mainstream.
this is too much, you know? Like, I don't want to just jump in because everybody's talking about it. Like, I want to do it if I like it. And tanghulu was the same thing. For me, I like, you know, savory and rich desserts. But to me, it was just like, I would rather have a fruit rather than like a hardened fruit candy. And then there was so many shorts and like marketing schemes and, you know, feeds coming up about tanghulu. There's even a song, right?
Yeah, that's viral song.
And I kind of went, what is the whole big deal surrounding this, a trend? And now I've given how many stores opened and are now closing. It kind of, I guess, can, you know, sort of persuades the idea that this is a fad that circulates around really quickly, surges, and then falls also rapidly.
Right. So we briefly talked about this in our yesterday's episode So I think that for those who are planning to launch a new business, we should definitely not really hop on to what's trending latest nowadays. We should be more careful, thorough, do our research, and think about whether this will continue to be popular.
I absolutely agree.
And that was our news feed for this Tuesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Today we're going to talk about a long-standing tradition in Korea that is seen as playing an important role in maintaining personal connections. Take a look at the screen to find out more. Have you ever heard of gyemoim? It's a type of social gathering in Korea where people contribute a certain amount of money at regular intervals for a common goal, usually future expenses. While it used to be more common among the older generation, like our parents, we're now seeing more millennials and Gen Z launching and participating in these groups. Why are we seeing younger gyemoim groups? Right, guys? I forgot to tell you something, but I totally 개탔어. I earned a lot of 개돈 this morning.
Wait, what for? And what is that?
What's K-ton? Does that mean you got a lot of money? Did you win a prize?
Yes. Are you going to buy us 탕후루?
A lot of questions, but for our viewers who might not know what 개탔다 or earning 개돈, which translates to 개모임 money is, it's kind of like a Korean idiom that means you encounter something really lucky today, as lucky as you won a lot of money, and this actually comes from the practice of receiving a payout or accumulated funds from a gyemoim group. So, as mentioned in our VCR, today we're going to talk about Korea's unique gyemoim culture. So, Cheska, could you first tell us what these gyemoim groups are, and for those who are not familiar with the concept? And I heard that this particular type of group received coverage from one international media outlet recently.
Yeah, it did. And first of all, congratulations if you really get that.
Okay, well, I met you guys. I'm doing news stand with you guys today, so I get
that is so sweet. But we do like money. It's just like. And yes, as we showed in our mini skit that just like whooped past us, gyemoim has been a long tradition here in Korea, which we will explain a bit more later.
Right.
But recently, it definitely piqued the interest of even foreign media outlets. So let's check the screen. So this is directly from the New York Times article, and it reads, "A Korean secret to keeping friendships strong, savings group." Now, in South Korea, it's common for friends to form what are known as gyemoim to save for vacations, meals, and other social activities. So the present-day gyemoim, which we'll talk about how it all started, definitely takes more of a form of like a savings group amongst friends to enjoy more leisure and social activities.
Right. So as you mentioned, we're going to talk about the present modern-day gyemoim that's being launched by the younger generation, millennials and Gen Z. But we always want to know about how these gyemoim first started off, how they looked like in the past. So could you please give us a comparison about what gyemoims looked like in our parents' generation?
Yeah, as we'll talk extensively today, this is a very Korean thing, which obviously piqued the interest of New York Times article.
Right.
But back in Korea, there's something called pumashi, which is kind of like a very simply put, it's a barter, but in the form of labor. So basically, I would work for your crop field, and tomorrow you will come and work for ours as an exchange of labor during like harvest season or very busy seasons.
Right.
Now, because Korea began as an agricultural society, this type of community work developed, and gyemoim is sort of based on a very similar premise and structure. So everyone would form a group and put a certain amount of money into a big pile so that it can be used to help someone in the group for emergencies or rainy days. And in the past, people would actually take turns getting this sum of money, to maybe, have a family event or, invest in something. But nowadays, as we have mentioned, they travel together or use it for like family events, or even I've seen people do it for bridal showers.
Right.
So it's one way that people use it to maintain friendship and regular meetups, and also alleviate the financial burden of having to accumulate a big amount of money in a short amount of time.
Right. So these gyemoim groups, they've been here around the country for
historically.
For a quite long amount of time. But Brooke, I want to ask you, the article that Cheska mentioned, it talked about how the reason why these gyemoims are continuing here in the country is because of Korea's unique, strong culture of trust. So I want to ask you, do you agree? And my other question is, are there any other financial saving groups similar to gyemoims in other parts of the world, for example, in America?
Yes. Well, in doing some research for this show, I found out that they do have similar groups around the world. For example, in West Africa, they have groups called susus, and it's basically a very similar concept. You have a trusted group of individuals that you're saving money with. But to my knowledge, we do not have this in the US, and I think that all comes down to cultural differences, like you mentioned. In America, when we go to a restaurant with our friends, we typically ask for separate checks. Whereas here in Korea, one person will pay for everything typically,
and then you'll send the equal amount.
Exactly. Everyone will send it back. It's very smooth and fast. And I think that really speaks to Korea's collectivist culture. It requires a lot of trust to do that. Korea is a place where you can put your bag down, leave for a few hours, come back, and your bag will still have everything in it. America's a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a dog-eat-dog, individualist type of society, and we are a lot more careful with our money. We have a saying, never do business with your friends or even with family members, because money can actually be really damaging to that relationship. In America, we don't even really like to talk about money that openly. In Korea, for example, I've had people ask me straight up, you know, what is your salary or what do you pay for rent? It's a very normal topic of conversation. But in America, that would be seen as a little bit inappropriate to talk about. It's more of a sensitive topic for us. So I think given all of those reasons, I can't see gyemoim taking off in America. I think we're a little bit too cynical about people, but I really love the concept, and I think now that I've been living in Korea for almost 10 years, maybe it's time for me to give it a try.
Yeah, maybe you should give it a shot. Right, so we talked about how the gyemoim groups here in Korea and what's it like in America. Now, to expand our discussion, we also asked our viewers if they have financial planning or saving groups similar to gyemoim in their countries, and here's what 3 of them had to say. So if we look at the comments, Leon says there isn't a direct equivalent to the South Korean gyemoim system in Singapore, but friends or colleagues might simply agree to save a specific amount each month and hold each other accountable and use the money for an overseas trip or group event in the future. Brodo says in India, similar to gyemoim, there are informal saving groups known as committees or chit funds. Members contribute regularly and each take turns receiving the pooled amount, fostering both the savings and community bonds. Babar says in Ethiopia, we have ekub, which works where a group of people come together and decide to contribute an equal amount of money every month. The first round of the savings is given to the first person and it goes round to the last person. After that, these people decide whether to continue their contribution or not. So by looking at the comments from our viewers, we can see that there are similar financial saving groups in other parts of the world. That's really interesting. But I think that there's a specific reason why Korean gyemoim groups receive the attention from international media. So let's find more about Korean gyemoim groups and why more people from our generation are joining them. And for that, we're going to invite a Gen Zer who is part of one of these groups to our discussion. We'll be right back after the break. So today we're joined by Kim Yeon-hee, a Korean Gen Zer. She is currently part of a 4-member gyemoim. Great to have you back on our show, Yeon-hee.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Great, lovely to have you. So our first question for you, Yeon-hee, is could you tell us a bit more about the gyemoim group you're a part of? For example, who are the members and how much do you contribute and how often?
4 of my closest friends in high school are holding a gyemoim. We have been together for 3 years in high school, hanging out together after exams, always eat together, and making a lot of big and small memories. The name of the gyemoim is the number 989900. Although we were in the same grade, we were born in different years. We thought it was also a special feature among us, so we named it after the year of our birth. We are maintaining a meeting by putting in about 20,000 won a month.
So, you know, as we mentioned, even the New York Times article was very interested in this gyemoim culture. So we want to learn from you, what made you join and continue participating in this gyemoim group?
As I said earlier, we have been always together for 3 years in high school, but it has become difficult to meet continuously as we went to universities in different regions. When we were freshmen in college, We used to meet in Busan during vacation, but as time passed, it became increasingly difficult to see together even once a year. Also, we couldn't contact each other because we were busy in individuals' lives. To maintain our relationship, we started the gyemoim after thinking about how we could see each other consistently. Especially since the gyemoim is based on the relation between money, it has the advantage of deepening trust in each other and continuing the friendship for a long time.
Hi, Yanni. It's really great to hear about your experiences and very heartwarming to hear that it's had such a positive impact on your friendships. But my last question for you is, what are the benefits and drawbacks of being a part of this group? Do you think it helps maintain a strong bond between the members like you've talked about?
Yes. The benefits of the gyemoim is trust and the maintenance of the friendship. Trust is based on our meeting. The trust in each other that we have accumulated so far was the foundation of this gyemoim because we have known each other for a long time. And it is really helpful to maintain friendship. To spend the money we gather, we make a lot of memories together, such as celebrating each other's birthday, going on a trip, or taking pictures together, and so on. The drawbacks of gyemoim is that since we are still freshmen in society, the amount we pay every month can sometimes be a burden, and the manager has to suffer the most. Friends who pay without automatic payments sometimes forget to remit the money, so it is tiresome for the manager to check every month. But I think it really makes and helps maintain a strong bond between us.
I definitely can feel and see that based on the adorable, lovely gyemoim that you introduced us. So, Yeonhee, I hope all the best for your gyemoim with your high school friends. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so it seems like millennials and Gen Z are adding new twists or finding innovative ways to keep these gyemoim groups going. For example, the gyemoim that Yeonhee mentioned, it's quite different from the gyemoim groups in the past because
So sweet.
Yeah, I know, it's so adorable, and I want to be part. I want to make a gyemoim with all of my best friends. So, but this is definitely different from what we've seen in the past because they are celebrating birthdays, they are celebrating like special occasions with each other. So this is a new type of gyemoim. So, are there any examples that you'd like to add regarding these new innovative types of gyemoim that our generation has launched?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that has remained consistent is Korea's unique culture of sort of trust and friendship, also what we call 정 here in Korea, right? The intimacy between people. So I think even in the modern groups, as Yeonhee mentioned, I think they as they mentioned, they sort of started this because as they went to different universities, they wanted to make a reason to come together. And I think she sort of mentioned that there was a manager for it. So I don't know if she's actually using what I'm about to talk about. But here in Korea, they have this bank account where a group of participants can actually see the content and share what's happening in the bank account to keep the money transaction transparent. And there's a leader, she said the manager, that sort of organizes everything and makes sure that people actually do put in the money. So there are some very innovative ways to facilitate these kind of transactions, and it's called 모임 통장, which basically means group account. So I think people are becoming very creative to keep the transaction transparent, consistent, and I think even more interesting. Yeah,
and I think that seeing these new banking products really shows how much of a trend this is becoming among our generation, millennials and Gen Z. Now, Brooke, are there any other examples that you'd like to add on?
Yeah, I think that not only have they become more creative in terms of the methods in which they're partaking in gyemoim, but also the reasons why they're doing it. We heard from Yeonhee that they celebrate birthdays together and things like that. Well, I did some research and one thing caught my eye. Apparently there are gyemoim for gamers.
Oh, gamers.
And you might not know this about me, but I love going to the PC bar. I am a huge fan of the game League of Legends.
Oh my God.
I love to play it. And I have spent a fair bit of money on skins in the game, I have to admit.
You've cashed.
I really have. But recently there was, in fact, a huge controversy over a very expensive League of Legends skin that I managed to keep myself from buying.
You're good.
But I wondered if maybe there was a gyemoim that was saving up for that particular skin. It seems plausible these days. But it begs the question, who gets to put it on their account? How do you get to decide who gets the prize money, right? In our little skit it earlier, you won, but maybe someone else in your group wanted to win, right? So I think, you know, it really requires a lot of communication, but it sounds like it's becoming a lot more diversified. You don't have to put that much in. She was saying they put, you know, maybe 3,000 won, and that's totally reasonable. So it doesn't have to be this huge amount like it used to be in the past where you were saving up for big events. It can be something as simple as, hey, we want to go to dinner together. Let's all put together a little bit of money. So I think it's great.
Right. And I think that you mentioned a very good point, and expanding on what Brooke mentioned, since these groups involve money, I think that it's very important to be careful when forming a gyemoim group and even joining them. So do you have any tips or advice on our viewers who might want to start or join a gyemoim?
Yeah, you know, nowadays there are so many creative ways to do it, and the transaction is becoming transparent. And even in the past, you know, back in our grandparents' generation, it wasn't as facilitated as it was today.
Right.
So everything was just based on pure trust. And as we know, there have been many unfortunate incidents of people either running away with the pool of money or wasting away in the wrong investments. So Eugene, I remember that back in the day when we were doing the newsfeed about gyemoim for the first time, you asked if we wanted to join, and I kind of said I would have to think about it, and I felt really bad because I didn't get a chance to explain. But Brooke sort of opened the introduction for me. But growing up in the Western culture, money became a very sensitive and also a very careful issue. So even within parents and family, we actually write IOU when we borrow money, because I think we understand the importance of engaging in financial transactions and what it can potentially do to relationships, especially if it's closest, because people just assume that based on the close relationship that you have, there's a lot of like neglect and impact that it can actually happen. So nowadays with technology, transaction is obviously more transparent and quick, but I do think it's something we still have to consider, and as Brooke mentioned, have really open communication about, and if possible, maybe write down something. Yeah,
it's not bad. It's not bad to always be careful. So I hope that our discussion today really helped our viewers who are planning to start or join a gyemoim. And that was all the time we have for today, but NewsGen is here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks today to Cheska Dainong.
Thank you.
And Brooke Prince.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.